And welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of your new favorite podcast, Lights, Camera, Exploitation. I am your host with the motherfucking most, TG Bowser, and joining me is my doppelganger, Kangabanger from Down Under, Mr. Brody Kane.
Howdy, howdy.
And Slick Nick with the big woo! Reese, what's up, buddy?
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, so today is February 19th, 2021, and we are just moving along. And we got a doozy of an episode for you today. We're going to do our little slice of life segment here. Actually, you know what? Let's describe what the show is first. So all you new listeners, people who are first coming to this show, this is going to be a show that centers around exploitation films and the evolution of subgenres. These are films that are near and dear to our hearts and films that we feel personally that need to be talked about more and more in depth. So join us each week as we kind of take a journey down different avenues and exploit different types of things. It's going to be quite the fun. Season 1's going to feature 10 episodes of some crazy ass films, and then we're going to take a 3-month hiatus and then bring you season 2 with even more crazy exploitation films. But Brody, how was your week?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Yeah, just pretty flat out at work as per usual. Mortal Kombat trailer dropped, might I just say, and it is fucking nothing more than a spectacular ride. It looks fucking fantastic, this thing, and I am impressed. But yeah, other than that, yeah, just work. Watch this film multiple times. I love it. Love Cronenberg. His work is the best. But yeah, other than that, nothing. I'm a very boring person these days. How about you, Mr. Bowser?
Well, podcasts here, podcasts there, podcasts everywhere, and it wouldn't be one of my shows if I didn't say that. So I did a lot of producing this week. We did a lot of scheduling behind the scenes, and I'm going to be announcing a couple new shows very, very soon with a couple of my friends. Don't want to reveal any more than that, but the boys sitting next to me here are very aware of what's going on, and it's a lot of exciting stuff coming to Project Louder, and I'm excited to share it with all you guys. I'm excited to start this new show and finally talk about things other than horror for once and really break down some of my favorite films. And honestly, this is a show with Brody, and we don't really have a show that's just our own. And Nick's kind of new to the network, and it's awesome to welcome on to some content that's not the wonderful Beetle Bros.
Yeah, that's Beetleborgs related.
So let's segue on to Nick. What about you, buddy?
Alrighty. Well, I kind of talked about it a little bit whenever I was on Gore and More last, with my car being in the shop for like a good week. I got it out and I drove it for a grand total of 2 days and got a flat tire in the middle of the entire Midwest getting absolutely slammed with snow and winter storms and everything. So it took like 2 days just to even get it towed to a shop, but I just got it back today. Other than that, I've been trying to coordinate a move for my work. So I've been in an empty office by myself with no heat, trying to coordinate getting electricians out to install Ethernet ports. But other than that, not really a whole lot. It's ate up most of my time, so it's pretty much just get home and get to bed. Not bad, though.
Okay, so hopefully things look up with your car and stuff.
I hope so, man. I swear, I've paid more in maintenance on that thing than it's worth.
Brody just got a new car not too long ago.
That I did. I treated myself to a Chrysler 300C, so
nice.
Starting to turn a bit Americana down this way. That's good. It goes all right. I'm very happy with the car. I had to buy something more reliable than my other ute, but because I was exactly like you, Nick. I was in the bloody mechanics nearly every week.
Yeah, man.
But like I love it. It's not bad at all.
Okay, so let's get on with the first episode of Lights, Camera, Exploitation. 1996's Crash. Directed by David Cronenberg, who also directed some of our favorite films, The Fly from 1986, Videodrome from 1983, Scanners from 1981, and Rabid from 1977. James Woods is in Videodrome, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
That's a pretty awesome film. And The Fly, you got Jeff Goldblum. That movie's nuts.
Grossed me out as a kid so hard, so bad. That one messed me up when I was younger.
And
I love Scanners, though.
Dude, the franchise of Scanners is just awesome. Brody and I watch those films and reference them constantly. They're And I think earlier this year we got a Scanner Cop 1 announcement on Blu-ray, which is a pretty big deal for myself because I love those films and I would love to fucking see that film in a proper restoration. So yeah,
Who's bringing that one out?
that is a good question. It might have been Scorpion, but you can't quote me on that.
Yep.
Hard to believe that movie's 40 years old now.
It's so crazy, right?
But yeah, man. Videodrome's next. Two
Yes.
more.
So the movie was written by David Cronenberg, based on a book by J.G. Ballard, and we will talk about that later. Cinematographer Peter Shazinski, who also did Cronenberg's Dead Ringers from 1988, The Empire Strikes Back from 1980, otherwise known as the best Star Wars film, and Tim Burton's 1996 Mars Attacks, which I watched yesterday, and Taryn goes, "Dad, that's a pretty good film." And I said, yes, it is.
That's
Good
awesome.
on her.
Music by Howard Shore. And he also did Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring from 2001. If you like walking, go watch it. Dogma from 1999. And the glorious Twilight Saga, Eclipse, and other films from that series, starring the lovely James Spader as James Ballard. You might know him from Boston Legal from 2004 to 2008, or the voice of Ultron from Avengers Age of Ultron. He's also Robert California in The Office from 2011 to 2012, and that character is fucking awesome.
Fuck yeah.
In some way, I like to think that Robert California is the same character as this, just grown up.
Absolutely. I've been revisiting The Office at the moment, and there was bits and pieces of his character in that. I was like, holy fuck, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the same character. Like, it was crazy. It was like little bits and pieces.
There's the deleted scene where he has like Angela bent over the hood of his car.
Just Dwight staring at him from across the room.
Dwight and Bose.
Fucking A. So also featuring Holly Hunter as Helen Remington. She's an Oscar winner, correct?
Yes, she is.
believe
Yes,
so.
she is. Yeah, I can't remember what it's for, but I think she is. Yes.
Okay. She is from the Weinstein Brothers' The Burning from 1981.
Piano.
That film's awesome. Raising Arizona from 1987. And of course, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou from 2000. We don't know for some fucking reason why she won an Oscar, but I think she did.
It was Best Actress for The Piano. Which
There
was
we go.
For this,
Ah,
Yes. Again, wasn't in our notes because we don't know that film.
I've never seen it.
Okay.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
And the next guy we're a little bit more familiar with, which is Elias Koteas as Vaughn, who, as we know him as Casey Jones from 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Prophecy films, Watch Where You're Christopher Walken, and The Thin Red Line, 1998.
Which is how I recognized him.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And
Can I
of
just
course,
say, sorry,
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Can I just say how good The Prophecy actually really is? Like,
Mhm.
it is a very underappreciated film, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up maybe in season 2.
okay. The Prophecy does have Christopher Walken in it, right? My joke was on point right there.
Yes, it
Okay.
does.
Okay. Okay.
I was waiting for her to be like, no.
Also, Deborah Unger as Catherine Ballard. You might know her from the Silent Hill movie in 2006, The Game in 1997, and The Wave from 2010. Lastly, we have Rosanna Arquette, part of the Arquette acting family, as Gabrielle. You might notice her from Pulp Fiction from 1994, After Hours from 1985, and The Whole Nine Yards in 2000.
Was she Lance's girlfriend in Pulp Fiction?
Yes, she was the one with all the shit in
Okay.
her face.
Yeah. That's my wife. Yeah. Okay. That was it. Yeah. No, it was his wife. Yeah. I didn't even really connect that until just now.
Fucking A. So we have some additional crew here I wanted to talk about, and it's a costume design by Denise Cronenberg, which is his sister, who also did Dead Ringers and The Fly. And then listed here, trainee assistant director, his daughter, Cassandra Cronenberg. Brody and I talked a little bit about this. She kind of stopped doing this, but she also was listed as an assistant director on American Psycho.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's
that's one of my favorite movies ever. So that's actually pretty cool.
Definitely keeping it in the family. But I just started following her on Instagram, and she's turned in the direction of photography now, and she does some really neat stuff. I think it's more so for like behind the scenes at like live red carpets and all that type of thing. So yeah, no,
That's still pretty cool stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
Brody, do you want to talk about the plot?
That I can. So basically, yes, Crash is about the strange allure of the auto collision, provoking as it does the human fascination with death and the tendency to eroticize danger. Most motorists will slow down to stare at the scene of a collision. They may feel their pulses quickening and becoming aware of the fragility of their own bodies. The characters of Crash carry this awareness a step further, cherishing and nurturing it. For them, a car collision is a sexual turn-on and a jolting life force they come to crave.
Okay, fucking A. So, it won some awards, Nick. Let's talk about them.
It did. It won the Special Jury Prize at the 1996 Cannes Film Festival. It was nominated for a Golden Palm at the same Cannes Film Festival in 96. It was also nominated for a Grand Prix of the Belgian Syndicate of Cinema Critics. It won the Best Alternative Adult Feature Film at the 1998 Adult Video News Awards.
We'll call that after he's done.
Yeah. It was nominated for the Motion Picture Sound Editors Award in 98, and it also won 6 Genie Awards from the Academy of Canadian Cinema and Television in 96, shortly after its release. Okay,
so watching the Ebert review and stuff, like the weird little TV excerpt on YouTube, when he's like, it's porn, but they took on all the sex.
I read his written one too, and it was basically immediately the first line was like, it is a pornographic film without a lot of sex.
They took the sex out and put car crashes in to replace it. And the fact that it won adult features film awards doesn't help that point at all.
It was an NC-17 rating when it came out. I
don't blame it. There's a lot of nipple play. There's anal sex scenes. There's possible wound fucking scenes, but we'll talk about that later.
Ridiculous, man. It's an interesting film, to say the least.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes. Well, Cronenberg didn't even really want to direct this film. He got it pitched to him by a producer. I think the producer was Jeremy Thomas, and yeah, he proposed the Ballard novel to him, and Cronenberg read like 20 pages of the book itself, and he had to put it down due to the fact that it was quite repellent and very disturbing. So, if you're disturbing Cronenberg, you're doing a pretty good job. Yeah. But then he started reading it again from a perspective of medical terms. Then he found it quite interesting after that point of view. And you can definitely see that play out throughout this film.
Mm-hmm. It kind of makes sense. The closest one that I could really kind of find to his other work that kind of made me think that's kind of close to Crash was probably Dead Ringers. And he did that 8 years before this came out. A lot of the same production crew as well, the same cinematographer, I believe. Which was, it was just kind of interesting to see that. I was like, he didn't come back to at least close to this sort of subject for 8 years after he did that one with them being gynecologists and everything during that. So
I think this is a film that was well ahead of its time, and we're able to appreciate it now only because of the way that film has evolved, and the way that we look at film has also evolved with it. So I think that a lot of Cronenberg's work is not appreciated when it's released, and it takes decades upon decades before we're like, fuck, this guy was onto something.
Absolutely. I'll just throw in there that interview with David Cronenberg on Crash. You can see it on YouTube. It's actually from 1996. Mm-hmm. He actually in terms of directing and the vehicles, he actually likes to think of himself more as a Ferrari than a mainstream Ford vehicle.
And he didn't want to come off as a dick. He wanted to make it very, very clear that it's not an elitist thing. You can interpret it as an elitist thing if you want, but it's not an elitist thing.
Yeah. He just likes to play he states that it's a different concept of a car that resembles himself and his filmography. And I think that's perfect because he is a car collector. So
only sports cars, though. He made it very clear. I own these old sports cars, and I used to race them, and I don't know if I'm going to, but I'm not going to say I'm not going to.
It's kind of funny you talk about that. The last movie that I watched before this, fittingly enough, was a Ford v Ferrari.
Oh, okay. I heard that movie looks really good in 4K.
I don't think we saw it in 4K.
Okay.
I got a group that I usually just play games with and stuff on Discord. But every couple nights throughout the week, we'll usually just kind of stream movies to each other.
Oh, okay.
Have like a little watch group, and Ford v Ferrari was the last one, which I think my friend that was streaming it had it in 4K, but max you can get on Discord is going to be a 1080p stream, so it wasn't going to look any better than that. But it still looked good. It's a really visually striking movie. It looks really nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's get on to some of other bits and pieces. I'm going to do a little clap here for the audio. But it's time to get physical with physical media. The audio listeners will appreciate that because there will be audio signatures up in there with "Let's get physical." But there are not two versions. Okay, you know what? We're gonna say two versions of this film because we're not 100% sure. Physical media is a thing that's near and dear to our hearts here at Lights Camera Exploitation. I myself am hardcore into film preservation, and I am a collector of oddities and rare film. Brody is a collector of anything that he likes and anything remotely nostalgic to his childhood. So,
Yes.
So we meet on several layers. And then, of course, Nick is a film lover. So,
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'll get physical when I can.
yes. So Brody happens to own the Arrow video release of this film.
In all its glory.
I'm going to skadoosh on and grab my Criterion. So you show that while I go grab mine.
So what we bloody have here, folks, is that we have Arrow videos. I don't know. Well, it's definitely not a 4K, but it is a Blu-ray of Cronenberg's Crash. Yes, we do. And it comes with some neat little gifts. You got your poster. You do have a book that talks about the controversial times of 1996 about this film.
There's a little essay inside the book.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It actually elaborates a lot on the novel itself and Cronenberg. It has a little interview with Cronenberg and J.G. Ballard. So it's a very interesting read. I recommend
So
it.
on your version, it features a 4K restoration of the uncut NC-17 version, supervised by director of photography Peter Straczynski and approved by director David Cronenberg. The 4K version is a true 4K UHD presentation with a 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack, and it is region free, but the one Brody has, which is the non-4K, is region B locked.
Yes. That is correct.
And for those video listeners, video listeners, let's pop up your box real quick so we can show them. See that little 18 right there? Point to the 18 there. That's a little signifier that it's probably region B locked. And then on the back, it will have an A, B, or C located there to signify what region it is. There it is. Yes. So moving on to the opposite side, which is the American release of this film from Criterion. You can get the 4K version of this, but I don't think that they have a 4K because Criterion does not come out with 4K. But the movie was scanned with a 4K digital restoration, supervised once again by cinematographer Peter Straczynski and approved by David Cronenberg. It actually came with a sticker attached to the cellophane that was signed by David Cronenberg. That was really cool when I got it. 1080p Blu-ray presentation on this one. Same master audio soundtrack as the Arrow video, and this one's region A locked. We got the back here, a little different. And then inside, we have an awesome little pamphlet, very different than Brody's. He's got a little book. This is a fold-out poster where we get some interesting artwork. I don't know if this is original poster artwork or if this is Criterion artwork.
I think that might be Criterion artwork.
Okay.
Because I've got a little poster here as well.
And then on the back, we have a different essay than what Brody has, I believe. That's called The Wreck of the Century. Is that the different essay than what you have?
So I've basically got arrows, if I can get that in.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Crash.
Man, that looks good.
It's very erotic, and I do like it. And on the other side, I think this might be the original artwork.
That is.
Mm-hmm.
So
we got
it's very hard to
artworks.
Yeah, it's very hard to choose between the two on this poster because I really do like that arrow release, but the original.
I'd say this is more of an artsy version in minimalist style, where yours is more of a flashy boutique collector type style. And I think that those also speak waves about the companies we're talking about in this podcast. It's Criterion and Arrow, two very awesome companies that supply very good product, but also very different and have two completely different mission statements when it comes to presenting, preserving, and giving us films like these. I think they both do a really, really good job, though.
I do like your poster, though, because it does represent the overall tone and it has that industrial vibe, you know, and it really lays this film. It's laid over this film completely.
For audio listeners, feel free to go to the Arrow and Criterion websites to see these posters and the artworks that we are referencing in the video version. Thank you.
Yeah. Or pick up your own copy of the movie too, man.
Yes, it is available on Amazon, eBay, or direct from those companies.
About $35 or so, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it goes up and down. If you get the add-on called Honey for Google Chrome, it will track that and send emails to your phone. And I'm going to see if we can get a sponsorship from them because that'd be cool. I use them a lot. I've actually talked to Brody about that a couple times because that's a tool that we use a lot whenever we're doing our Blu-ray collecting. Is that Honey thing because it allows me to monitor prices as they go up and down, especially on things on Amazon and companies that do price matches. Ooh, buddy. It's a lifesaver sometimes.
Nice. I actually didn't know that they did monitoring for it. I've only ever used them for like the coupons and checkouts and stuff.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So that's cool.
So let's do some additional information. Who wants to take this away?
I will just sort of take it away just to ease it into what we were just talking about with the Blu-rays and that. Because on my special features here, there is an interview with Cronenberg and Viggo Mortensen, who actually chose the film at TIFF Talks. And they obviously talk about the film and that, but this is a little, it's irrelevant to what we're just talking about. And it's the restoration thing with Cronenberg, who had not seen the film in 20 years. And he pretty much just laughed throughout the entire movie. And the fact that they were crazy people having sex over car crashes.
Reading that made me so happy.
Yeah. So I found that very interesting more than pretty much anything else there.
So upon researching this film, we found out that this isn't the only film adaptation of the book that's out there. 1987, we got a short called Nightmare Angel, directed by Zoe Beloff and Susan Emmerling, starring the Bill Moseley, Audrey Mattson, and James Selby. Summary: inspired by Crash and the Atrocity Exhibition, two novels by J.G. Ballard about the relationship between technology and our mental states, how machines are extensions of ourselves, our bodies, and our unconsciousness. Controversy surrounding the original book by J.G. Ballard started even more initial publishing in June of 73 when early copies were sent to initial publishers and first readers responded, "This author is beyond psychiatric help. Do not publish."
I liked reading about the book a lot. I was glad to put that one in there.
Makes me want to read the book even more.
Does anybody want to take over? Nick?
Sure. So, and aside from that, we also some of the additional commentary that I kind of saw, because I like to look through people also talking about and discussing the movie as well to kind of get some outside of opinions, and just kind of see what other people think about it. Was I saw because J.G. Ballard or Ballard also writes a lot of dystopian novels as well. And so I saw that there was a lot of kind of dystopian themes running throughout it a lot. It's got a really oppressive atmosphere throughout the entire movie. And just the mechanical extension of humanity and everything through the cars, and this being at the height of the Cold War, and a lot of that dystopian era, just kind of our technology being extensions of ourselves and can absolutely just destroy us too at any given moment, was one of the themes that I saw a lot of people kind of talking about it. I'd never really thought of that the first time I watched the movie, but knowing now more backstory about the book itself, and just the time period it's written, I can kind of see it, and I kind of agree with a lot of it. And just kind of part of it really seems like kind of a power fantasy that these characters have, that Vaughn kind of comes in and sort of helps like corrupt a little bit and just kind of push it to the next level. Especially shown when he was the name's escaping me right now, his friend, the stunt driver, that at a certain point during the movie does a crash without him, and he gets really upset about it while he's sitting there taking the pictures, and he's like, "You couldn't wait." And Vaughn's
that scene actually, like, that's probably my favorite scene throughout the entire movie. It just sort of comes full circle to the point where you're like, fuck, he was like really upset with the fact that his mate's dead, and more upset with the fact that he did it without him. Like, it just shows you who Vaughn really is. Like, he just does not give a shit about anyone.
Nope. It's everything for himself, basically. But it just, I don't know, it really plays into his character. It makes him a lot more fleshed out and just a lot more interesting to watch this piece of shit rope all of these people into his sexy car crash death cult.
Pretty much.
And so one of the other things that I noticed as well, that I just kind of going through the filmographies and the other work from the people on this was Holly Hunter. Her first ever movie, we mentioned it earlier, was The Burning back in 81, was a slasher. And looking through there, I noticed she didn't do another horror movie again at all until
episode
Copycat. Goremore episode 1 is The Burning?
I believe so. Is that correct, Brody?
No, it's The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Oh, that's right. The Burning is what? Episode 2 or 3?
I think it's either 2 or 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny because I talked to Tom Savini a week before we recorded that film, and I talked to him about it. And it was like, I was like, oh shit, I get to talk about it on the show. I talked to Tom Savini.
That's awesome.
It's funny going back now, 3 years ago, and like there's a completely different me who's just so excited. So talking about Holly Hunter, I think she dies on the raft in that movie, Brody.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but I think you are correct there, sir.
Yeah, I think she's part of the rafting crew. She's the girl that wears the, I think it's a blue shirt. She screams a lot. So, yeah.
I'll have to revisit it.
Good film. Shitty people that made it, though. Okay.
Nice. Nice.
Costanza.
Gotta give it a watch.
And then also you have something here about James Spader, who worked on Dream Lover.
I did. So I was trying to look for other movies that the crew and cast of this had worked on kind of around the same time to see if they were just kind of going, if this just kind of was out of the blue for them, given the subject matter, how, let's be honest, weird this movie is. And so it just kind of seemed like for a lot of the actors,
if you're into car crash and voyeurism, this movie's not that weird.
Yes. No, it's very standard fare for you. But yeah, so he was actually in Dream Lover, which was another erotic thriller just a couple years before this by Nicholas Kazan, I believe was the director for that one. So it was interesting to see that this wasn't just like, there was kind of a buildup in looking at the different movies.
I'm pretty sure Dream Lover is a script that Brody wants to happen.
That it is. And if you're listening, Peter Jackson, make it happen. Make it happen ASAP because we need it.
I had to do it. I had to fucking do it. So
it was either going to be you or me.
Yeah. So production designer Carol Spire was also nominated for Genie Awards in art direction for her work on Scanners and Videodrome.
Whew.
Yeah, which just kind of I thought a lot of the oppressive atmosphere and just kind of the art design and how dark and sort of oppressive everything looked throughout it. It made me think of Scanners and Videodrome a bit. And so I just kind of thought it was interesting. I really liked the art direction and everything for this movie.
Yeah. Both of those films are Criterion films as well.
Yeah. Very
Makes
nice.
sense.
Scanners out of print in a lot of places though. So I'm going to hurry up and find that before it goes OOP and ends up being $130 somewhere.
I should probably do that too.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't dropped so much money on my car in the past few weeks. I could buy more.
It's okay. I'm monitoring it. We're good right now. So I just hope that we don't like come up next week and it's like 10s remaining. And I'm like, oh, not now. Not now.
Please, God.
So it looks like we have some similar entries to, oh God, the subgenre.
Yes, I wanted to look through and see some other entries in sort of the weird pseudosexual fetish kind of exploitation genre, just around that time, because exploitation just kind of, at least by its textbook definition, is just films exploiting a current trend to sell their tickets.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to look at some other movies kind of around the same time. I mentioned Dead Ringers earlier, given that it was another of Cronenberg's works, although that one was kind of a bit beforehand. It was about 8 years or so before, but it was kind of early as it was sort of building up. And then you sort of had like Disclosure would have come next by Barry Levinson. That's the one with what is his name? Michael
Ironside?
No. Oh, jeez.
Fassbender.
This is gonna
Jackson.
hurt my brain. Michael, yeah, that was it. No,
Jay Fox.
no,
Myers.
yes, Michael. So Michael Crichton actually wrote that. Michael Douglas is who I'm thinking of. But yeah, no, Michael Crichton actually did write Disclosure, which I thought was weird. I didn't really notice that till looking it up. But
It's like adding a bunch of your friends on Facebook to a group all because they have the same name. It's like, what's up, guys?
See, you can understand why I've gathered you all here today. It was Michael
Douglas.
Michael Douglas starred in that one, and Demi Moore. But it was kind of like the weird sort of harassment kind of just that sort of movie, but kind of flipped on its head a little bit. In that it was like Demi Moore kind of trying to ruin Michael Douglas's life through just kind of like harassing him a lot, and it was really
Demi Moore in real life.
Demi Moore.
No, I'm being serious. So don't take this.
Please God. And then I think probably the most famous one of these that I can think of would be Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick, which came out in '99, just a few years after this one. That's probably the one I would think that when people would think of like weird erotic kind of exploitation movie, that's usually the one that I see people mention a lot. And I think it's probably because it's Stanley Kubrick and it's not really similar to most of his other work, really. So that one kind of stands out a lot. And so I just kind of wanted to point out a few other movies in there, just kind of show the trend and the reason why it's an exploitation film in the first place. So
fucking A. Brody, anything else you want to bring up?
Like I've got some like interesting facts here actually about the film. What sort of led Cronenberg to actually make this film? If you'd like me to talk about that, Mr. Bowser.
Yes, sir. Talk about a couple.
Well, he upon reading the book, he actually found the overall tone to be very cold. And you see that throughout the film. Like,
oh yes,
it is a very dark and cold film. I remember watching this film as a kid, and I was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" But then, as you grow up, you appreciate it more and understanding the tones of the film and that. But the very first time I watched it, I felt dirty. I felt really dirty. I was like, I needed a shower after seeing that. And and Cronenberg's done his job when you feel like that. When Ballard, he's got an enthusiastic feeling about like the American style of highways, and he felt that they were more free, more open, and more powerful than Europe, to which then Cronenberg obviously suggested making the film in Toronto from where he's from. And,
have I talked about, not to interject, but to interject, did I say it on the show or did I say it pre of why he shot in Toronto, of why he ultimately chose?
No, I don't think he did.
Okay, so the book is set in like this weird version of London but in the book, it kind of describes modern cars for some reason. So whenever he was choosing a location for this, of course, he went to Toronto like he usually does. And because he went to Toronto again, they gave him special permission to block off certain roads. So he was able to shoot on certain streets that nobody was ever given permission to shoot on before. So he used that opportunity to really just get some awesome shots. And I think that that's definitely seen in the film. And I think the choice to use more modern cars as said in the book was definitely a good choice.
Absolutely. And it's probably a lot cheaper for Cronenberg to film it there too.
Yeah, you'd almost have to go through and, fix all the continuity and stuff. And that's way too hard. Just Absolutely. Let it be real life Toronto and set it there.
I love the fact that someone actually come up to him after the film and was like, dude, what's going on with your car crashes? And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, they don't even look real. He's like, well, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, there was no explosions from multiple cameras. They had it burnt in their head that like there was no CGI involved. Like, yeah, it was crazy to think that like that's what people actually believe is like the stuff that they see like in a Michael Bay film. Like that's how car crashes really is.
Yeah, that's real.
That's real. Like, and
what year was that movie with Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves? Where they had to ride on the bus? Yeah.
Speed. The bus that wouldn't slow down.
Actually, it might be earlier. It might have been around the same time. It might be like 95. It might have been like the year or so before this.
I think the perception of car movies at this time was not what they are now.
Probably not the most realistic.
Well, speaking of that, most realistic, look what modern car films are. They're fucking poop town. Let's drop cars out of fucking planes and then drive them away. Because that's realistic.
It's like an Uncharted game.
Essentially.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the way this film is shot?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought it was beautifully shot. Even just some of I think my favorite shots were some of the internal ones early on. I think my favorite was probably when James and Helen kind of get in the car and they're driving along for the first time. And it's kind of showing like how claustrophobic they feel because they both just survived that first initial crash. And it's them kind of those over the shoulder shots of them like fucking with their seatbelts and just kind of showing it like getting like that was probably my favorite like shot, honestly, because it really captured like that claustrophobia that they had to have been feeling. So it was before they got into it when they were still really shaken up by that crash that killed Helen's husband.
Anytime we see a shot from that fucking balcony that we see both of them looking out of, I'm just like, wow, this is fucking rad. And this is such a good way to start the fucking film and to be like, look, he's just sitting out there just looking at that, especially after his car crash.
Absolutely.
Like, he's just sat there and just stared at it and he's like, there's more traffic now. And it's like, yeah.
And then you even back it up in the first 5 minutes and it's like a low dolly shot to reveal nothing. It's just nothing there other than her ass. That's pretty much it. So, but yeah, like those dolly shots throughout the film, like look fantastic, especially as Nick said, like they're almost a bit of a Dutch tilt on a car. Like the way the camera's set up is a bit of a Dutch tilt and it's on the outside of the car that you see that.
It's used frequently.
Yeah. I loved it. I even love the for me, I think it was the car crash scene where we first see the two stunt drivers go at it with who are they taking off, the celebrities?
James Dean.
Yeah, that scene. I found that really, really intense. I don't know if you've been in a car crash. Have you been in a car crash before?
Yes.
I've luckily never been in one.
So, like me, but like I have as well. But watching that scene unfold with those two stunt drivers, I was getting a bit of Vietnam flashback watching that. I was like, fuck, this is really, really intense. And the way that those cameras were set up when they crash, you couldn't get any real than that. Like that's the real deal. So
I'd say one of the worst car crashes I had was in my first car. And it was my Subaru Impreza, and it was raining, and we hydroplaned. We're going about 45, so it wasn't too bad. But I was listening here, Brody. I was listening to the Muir song, "Solar Flare Homicide." We're about halfway through, and whenever I start to spun out, we spun like 4 times, and then we hit the embankment, and it popped both tires off, like off the rim, and my glasses flew off and hit the back of the the back window, and they were stuck in the back window, and my fucking music went, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Because I had one of those tape adapters to 3.5 millimeter. So whenever it hit, it actually fucked up the tape. So it made that noise. And then, so as I was like coming to, I was like, and Amir's playing really fucking loud. And I can't see because my glasses are gone. And I'm like looking at my buddy, and he's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "I'm okay." I was like, "What the fuck happened?"
Funny had to be a mirror.
The first time I crashed, we were doing absolutely dumb shit in the rain. Like,
of course, same fucking condition.
Yeah, we actually nearly went through an old couple's like the front of their house. Like, they would have been watching TV. We would have went through the house, and we would have been like, "Here you go," and then we would have took off. So I'll back it up a bit. So basically, what happened was it was like pissing down rain this one night, and my mate had this, as you would know, TJ, a Holden Commodore down here, V8.
Yes.
And he had it souped up, and we were so close to his house, and he decided to actually put the pedal to the metal, and we spun out literally like 4 or 5 times. And then it was my side that hit a tree. I was good. Nothing happened, but luckily that tree was there. Otherwise we, as I said, would have went through this old couple's lounge room. And then we took off, and then I decided to drive straight after it, and I dropped him down to the old couple's house, and he politely spoke about what happened because they were outside and they were wondering what the fuck just happened. There's these tire tracks that are spun out on their front lawn and hit a tree. And it was quite funny because the next day I was going to play footy and, football. And here he is rebuilding their bloody garden bed. So I thought, that's pretty much it.
Man. Worst I've had is I've lost some paint from my bumper, scraping a guardrail and some ice. It's the worst that's happened to that thing.
It's not fun, Nick. I'll bloody tell you now, it's not that fun. So you're not missing
it. It doesn't really sound.
Would not recommend.
Yeah, 3 out of 10.
So it's the most uncomfortable scene for you guys.
That fucking scar.
Okay, did he fuck her whole? Like, did he reopen the fucking thing, or did he just rub his dick on it? I feel like it would be physically impossible to like reopen a scar like that.
And
fuck. I was waiting for him to like rip those fishnet stockings open and just start licking it or something. Like,
I think he started kissing it, and then he was just like, hurry up, I need to rub my cock on this."
It's like a tie between that and the sex scene with his wife where she's trying to get him to describe Vaughn's asshole to her.
Oh, that's a great scene.
I was sitting here, I'm like, I don't think this scene was in the version I watched 10 years ago or whatever. I was like, I don't remember any of this. Either that or I just blocked it out. I was like, what the fuck?
I mean, that's where this movie stands out for me, is all the awkwardness that it imposes on the viewer. I think if that was its goal, then it fucking achieved it, bro.
Takes it and runs with
absolutely.
it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Runs hard, brah.
It's weird for me because I look at this film and I'm like, I could watch this all day, every day. It really doesn't that disturb me that much. I don't know if it's me just being a little bit fucked in the head, but in saying that, aren't we all? So, I don't know. It's very hard for me to choose a scene like that, but I do see where Nick's coming from with that scene. Like, it was a little bit hard to watch, especially when she's saying, describe his penis for me. I found that very
And his butthole.
very weird. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and the balloon knot. It was very weird.
and he just responds, "I think it's covered in scars." That made it so much worse. It's so much worse. I'm like, how would he know?
But yeah, no, it's yeah. I don't know. What's it for you, TJ? Give us your 2 cents.
That scar scene is a little unsettling. I think I discussed this with Nick pre-show. I think the scene where he has sex with Ballard's girlfriend in the back seat.
Oh yeah,
her face is so cold and she seems so uninterested. And they even fight a little bit in the back there, and she eventually succumbs to him. But the way that she reacts afterwards and a series of events that happens afterwards really makes me feel like she becomes disinterested in the cult at the end, which kind of makes it seem a little rapey. And anybody who's listened to any of my shows before knows how I feel like that's completely unnecessary unless it is heavily influencing the plot. Most of the time it's just used in there to as a cheap grab. Again, it might not have been intentional. It could have just been the way that the actress was interpreting that scene. But then again, it came off that way to me, and I feel like it just made me uncomfortable during that scene. And then the weird goo hand at the end was, yeah, I appreciate that 4K restoration because you could see every little droplet of that goo hand. As Clive Barker would call that, that's some elephant cum.
So that'd just be the cover for the show is just the goo hand.
That's what it should have been.
I'd have to say also that scene with Vaughn and Ballard in the junkyard, that was pretty full on. Not being homophobic or any of that. I just think it was really full on. And very awkward just to be there with those
for a gay scene like that. It was very aggressive.
Yeah,
yes.
The entire time I was watching, I was like, I wonder how well this went over in 1996.
Yeah. Again, the 90s were very a progressive time as well. So, I mean,
it could have. I mean, yeah, it could have just not been as big of a deal to anybody else. It's just, literally the entire rest of the film.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what scene actually caught me off guard, and I absolutely pissed myself laughing. And it was the bit where Seabreeze is sitting in the chair after he's just had that car crash. So Seabreeze is the stunt driver, and he's like, I want big tits. And they come out to here. When they're planning their next crash.
I want them to see them all smashed up and bloody.
All over the dashboard.
Okay, so speaking about dead dude there, what is your opinion on Vaughn? How do you interpret the character of Vaughn, Brody?
Well, obviously he's disturbed and I don't know. Like, see, that's what I love about Cronenberg's characters. You get so lost in that character development, and it just feels so real. It's like, I feel kind of bad for him because that's his fetish and we all see it as weird. But to an extent, you got to look at it from our point of view. That is fucking weird. And he's just a selfish fool just to get off on, like, he'll do anything to get off. Like, even if that means sacrifice lives and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I just see him really selfish and a cult leader pretty much.
Well, a wannabe cult leader because it's not that big.
Well, yes, that's And the dialogue, like he's an intelligent human being. I'll give him that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I find him really disturbing. And when I look at him and all those scars that are presented on his face, and even that tattoo, I actually really like the tattoo scene because it just shows you how far he will go. Also, just to be like,
well, I think it shows you how far gone he is mentally.
Yeah, like he'll do anything
because he starts referring to himself as a prophecy and shit like that at that point, and he really becomes this character where he thinks he's more than just a man and that he has purpose beyond just his existence right now. So I think he's like almost Charles Manson with cars.
Yeah.
But the fact that the nature of his obsession, the nature of his almost wannabe cult is so dangerous. It prevents him from accumulating people because the survival rate is so low in this type of act. It's different than going out there saying, hey, go force these people to have crashes, when you're creating almost a small community of people that have sex and have car crashes with each other in order to achieve orgasm through that. Or you can look at it the way as a group of people who are trying to kill themselves as a way to release sexual energy. So this film is, again, I don't know if Cronenberg is one of those directors like Argento who doesn't look at these films the same way whenever they're filming them and don't intentionally put these layered viewpoints in there when they're making these films. But it's definitely a film that has those layers and can be interpreted many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Sure. It's like I said before, when he visualized this film and making it, he looked at it as a medical term. So he basically is the doctor, and he's seeing it from his point of view as a medical situation. Yeah. And you definitely see that play out.
I think it plays into the that sort of cold atmosphere that he had for it, because it's very detached and clinical almost for most of the movie, and it's just kind of contrasted against the more erotic scenes and everything like that. For the majority of it, it does feel very detached and clinical, I think.
Absolutely. So, best sex scene.
It's probably the one that we were talking about before, when she was asking him to describe Vaughn. It's either that or the very first 5 minutes where we get his partner in the hangar, and then you've got him, the director, being behind the scenes with the other
camera girl.
Yeah, the camera girl. That's it. Yeah. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Neither of them came, so it doesn't count.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder if Ballard, the writer of the actual book himself, is like hardcore into voyeurism. I
wonder. Well, I mean, he named the main character after himself.
It has to be.
There's got to be something in there where he's like, you know, I wrote this, but I'm actually kind of liking it a lot now.
Fucking A. So, Brody, what would you, amongst other Cronenberg works, where would you rank this?
As in, what, a rating or?
Not a rating, amongst his other works, compared to his other works, how would you rank it?
I think it's a very highly underappreciated film. He does have some very great films out there, and I think this could be the brother to a brother or a sister to Dead Ringers, if you want to look at it in medical terms. Dead Ringers is an amazing film, and it's definitely taken by a medical point of view. I don't know. I really do like this film, and the more that you watch it, you always find something new and different. And it always, I don't know for you guys, but it always, for me, it always keeps me asking these questions, like just random questions, like, is it right? Is it wrong? I think it's very well crafted in a Cronenberg world. I think it's great. And it's definitely different to to his previous work in the past, where we've had horror films that are just so iconic in cinema even today. I just love his different approach at thriller, drama, eroticism, but yeah.
What's your favorite? Okay, I'm going to rephrase this. What's your go-to Cronenberg film?
It's probably The Fly.
Okay.
But in saying that, I do love Eastern Promises or A History of Violence.
Okay.
Yeah, A History of Violence is great. I was going to say either that or Scanners is my go-to Cronenberg. Yeah,
Scanners is The Fly for me as well. I'm not as well versed in Cronenberg. Again, this is a Brody pick. I don't know if we stated that at all yet, but we all picked films. We all picked 3 films, and then for this season, so this will be fun.
Yep.
They're all vastly different, with the exception of mine. I mean, actually, technically, they're vastly different. There's a we'll talk about it. Actually, we'll talk about it now. My picks are kind of like evolutions that led to the next. So one film inspired the next. It's
Yep.
that type of thing. Yep. Brody's seem to be more regional, which I would hope so, because his region is filled with that glory that is exploitation.
Yeah.
And then
well, I just wanted to give it. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I just wanted to give like the world like these exploitations films that no one really saw that inspired a lot of filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think it's just a good opportunity to get them out there and show that Australia can actually make great film.
Fucking A.
Fair.
Fucking A. So who's your favorite character in all of this? See, I like Vaughn only because, like, right?
He's the most
he's
character,
crazy. He's so crazy, and as the plot goes on, we learn more and more and more and more and more and more. And he goes from this weird guy that starts looking at James Spader in the hospital hallway to the main character and almost a villain. Almost rapidly, really quickly, does he become one of the characters to the bad guy. And it's just super cool to see that happen. And I think it's told in a very unique way.
Mm-hmm. And it's fun to watch him become kind of more unhinged as the movie goes on, especially when we get to the hotel. When his wife is downstairs talking about the police are there to question him in a hit and run, and he's all shaken up by it. And I'm like, yeah, he did it. I think they left it kind of open. I don't believe that actually they said whether or not he definitely did. But even just watching it, he did it. Yeah, he did it. He absolutely would do it.
His death is so fucking gnarly too. And we haven't touched on that.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Upside down into a bus, killing multiple people in the bus while it catches on fire. That's pretty fucking brutal.
Fuck yeah.
Of course, the way he would go out would have the most collateral damage possible.
And so I think we should take this opportunity to talk about the ending of the film. And let's talk about the motivation of why the film ended the way it did. Brody?
Well, obviously, she was at that crossroads, I believe, and she was going to turn down one path or the other. And I do believe that Ballard was at that stage where he was like, I know who I am. Do you want to come with me? So he did what he did to her. And then it sort of comes full circle at the end because she says that quote at the start of the film, maybe we'll get it next time. Is it maybe we'll get it right next time? And then they say it at the end.
I think it's just maybe next time. Yeah. Maybe on the next one.
Yeah,
maybe on the next one. And then when they have that car crash and then they start having intercourse, she says it again. So it sort of comes full circle. They've gone to the next stage in life.
I can tell you how I can interpret that. So earlier in the film, they talk about the only way to release this sexual energy is through death. So I think that now that Vaughn's passed and that cycle of voyeurism and sex and crashes is now done, that they're now looking for an escape, but they're now plagued with this curse that the only way that they can achieve sexual climax is by continuing the crash.
Yeah, it's almost like Vaughn has propagated himself beyond it after he's dead by just turning Ballard into another of him.
Again, Marilyn Manson with cars.
Yeah, but Charles Manson with cars.
Charles Manson. Actually, no. Actually,
no, that's right. That's right.
Not anymore, motherfuckers. Yeah. Marilyn Manson with fucking cars, because it applies to both now.
Damn it, man. Kind of gonna miss having that whole. Yeah, he's weird and everyone hated him, but like he seems like a nice guy and like it's fine and everything. Just because you don't hate him because he just makes metal. Oh no, he is actually a piece of shit.
Those memes of 90s mom sipping tea.
Yeah,
it's like
my mom right there.
Marilyn Manson's the Antichrist. 90s mom sipping tea, and it just. I think one of them had Dwight looking through the blinds in the conference room, and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, no, I just with what we're talking about Vaughn before, he just has so many fucking layers, and every time you go back and rewatch this film, you always like pick up something new with Vaughn's character. That's what I really like about this film. They don't directly throw it in your face. You have to leave it up. It's left up for you to decide on what you think this character is and who he is. But yeah, I don't know. There's when I rewatched it last night, I was even like, holy shit, I didn't see that before. And it was that scene where he's looking at, it's after the first crash, and he's like looking at Ballard's leg with all the rods in it, and he's like, oh my God, just getting off over it. So yeah, I don't know. Vaughn's, yeah, it's
what if
betrayed me.
what if Vaughn is just what happens to Casey Jones after Ninja Turtles 2? I seen some shit in New York, man. I moved to Toronto to get away from it, and now I can only get off by wrecking my car.
TMNT changes a man.
Fucking A. So, boys, what would we rate this film?
I think we have to come up with
let's establish a rating system.
Yeah.
Brody, how we do this? Out of 5, traditional way, our good old way.
Yeah. If you want to do it out of 5,
let's do. How many slutty car crashes out of 5?
Ooh, damn. I'm gonna have to give it a solid 4. A solid 4 for me.
Okay,
that's what I was thinking as well.
Okay, fucking A. Yeah, 4 as well. Just level of enjoyment on the scale of things.
I really like the movie. And I agree with Brody that I think it's really underappreciated. Because everyone, they hear David Cronenberg, they think body horror. Just body horror, The Fly. I want to watch Jeff Goldblum.
And some of that's present.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do see that, especially
just not to the level of his other films where the point where Rick and Morty jokes are made.
Yes. I was thinking of Rick and Morty a lot the entire time I was watching this just because of the Cronenberg's episodes and stuff. But yeah, I think it gets overshadowed a lot. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think it's really, really good. It's shot really well. And the fact that all of it's practical and it looks as good as it does is just a testament to how good he is as a director.
Yes.
Awesome. So let's talk about next episode and future plans of Lights, Camera, Exploitation. Next episode is, Nick?
We're going to do Basket Case.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, motherfucking Belial.
So, who made that film?
Let's see here.
Same guy's Brain Damage, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes. Is it Frankenheimer?
Henenlotter. Yeah, Frank Henenlotter.
I was way off.
But yeah, so Frank Henenlotter, he's not got a lot that I think would really like, not a lot even of his other stuff I would recognize off the top of my head. But yeah, no, he did do Brain Damage. I think Basket Case and its subsequent sequels, which go way off the mark from the original Basket Case.
We'll discuss them. Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are probably the ones that he's most known for. I think Frank Henenlotter is just kind of a cult classic director from that time period. Especially because most of everything he did was super low budget, especially Basket Case. So,
yep. Not everything has to have a big budget to be good, though.
Oh no, not at all. And I love that movie.
Yeah. I think actually kind of like a weird sidebar. I think the film Toxic Zombies from, I want to say 1980, Massacre Video is doing a video release. Yeah, from 1980 is doing a video release, and they're streaming it tonight. For like a little private screening, and you can stream it and stuff. I'm interested. That movie's also known Blood Eaters in the Forest of Fear. It's it might be a film we cover in the future.
All right.
It's after drug crops are sprayed with a chemical by a passing airplane, the growers of the crop are poisoned by the chemical and turn into zombie-like mutants. It was filmed here in Pennsylvania, and I think the crop was marijuana, but I can't be sure.
Yeah.
Anti-drug initiative.
80s thing. Yeah, I would assume. Technically,
it is perfect for this show.
Yeah. Even like technically Reefer Madness is an exploitation movie. You really think about it.
Yes. Yeah, we should have Jack Shoulder do an intro to that episode who fucking recut that movie for New Line Cinema in the 70s to fucking start up the whole anti-reefer thing. And that's how New Line Cinema got money to make subsequent movie films is by selling propaganda of marijuana.
That sounds like a very New Line thing to do.
Yes, thanks. Fucking A. So, little shameless shilling here. For those who don't know, I am TJ Bowser. I host Gordon Moore, TJ Bowser Power Hour, Jerk the Curtain. What else do I do? Joints and Joysticks. Oh, and Rabbit Hole with production designer Mick Strawn. A couple more podcasts to be announced. Nick, what do you do?
I am one of the co-hosts, along with my friends Cameron and Ryan, for the Big Bad Beetle Bros, also on Project Louder as well. That is the only other one that I'm on currently.
Brody, where can they find some of your stuff?
That is a very good question. Where can you find some of my stuff?
Every week on Gordon Moore.
Yes, you can. I have my little 2 cents every week on the show. I give about a 3-minute review. But yeah, this is my first time actually with TJ and the boys on the Project Louder podcasting. So I'm very happy to be here and talk about films. I've been meaning to do it for a long time. TJ's finally got me on board. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and discuss film.
So I think that is it for this episode of Lights, Camera, Exploitation. Thank you for listening to the pilot episode. And we will be back very, very soon with Basket Case. And this is your host with the motherfucking most saying, see you next time, motherfuckers.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.